Need to improve your club on Ultimate Team? Check out IGGM for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Get an extra 5% discount with code NA. What's good, y'all? Today we're going to be going over the 4-1-4-1. And if you were a person that really liked the 4-2-4 previously, you're going to notice that this formation is going to be really similar and it's going to play really similar as well. So if you had fun with that formation, this formation is going to be pretty good as well. It's also really well balanced and well rounded to cater to defense as well as attacking. So if you found the 4-2-4 to be too attacking, then this 4-1-4-1 is going to be basically not defensive, but it's going to have defense in mind. And generally, I've just found this formation to be really fun to begin with because you're always going to have passing options, especially in the build-up. So building up this formation is a lot more fun than any of the other formations in the game, to be honest. And to be frank, I've went over a lot of formations when it comes to all the formations the game has to offer ever since the most recent patch, which was like 2 months ago. And I think I'm honestly going to stick to the 4-1-4-1 for the remainder of the game until the next patch, obviously. Either that or the 4-2-4. But basically, if you guys were wondering what my favorite formations are right now, it's either this formation right here or the 4-2-4. I'm obviously going to go back and forth between the two, but what matters is this formation for right now. And as you can see, my team's right here, just to go straight to the custom tactics because this formation's really, just honestly really good, to be honest. Also, if you guys haven't done so already, I highly recommend you guys do this Levi Colwill objective right here. It's easily been one of my favorite center backs in the game to this point. It's well-rounded, it's fast enough, and it has 3 playstyle pluses in defense, so that's perfect, to be honest. But that's besides the point. We're just going to go straight to the custom tactics, if anything. I have this set to my attacking, and we're going to have it on balance with 38 width and 68 depth. And I said this in my previous video, but with the width, we want it to be as low as possible until it's not too low. And what I mean by that is we want it low enough to the point where the options in the middle of the field are just too tight, but not too low to the point where the other team's just going to have too many options out wide. And basically, with how the meta is, it's kind of silly, to be honest. I don't know why EA have it like this, but when the ball's on one side of the pitch, your defense is going to shift towards that side. So even though this is a narrow width, your touchlines are still going to be covered pretty well whenever the ball's on that side, if that makes sense. It's not like they're going to be wide open, if anything. It's just the other side of the field, if anything, that is going to be an issue. So if you're playing against people that love to switch the ball, then you're probably going to have to pause the game and turn this back up. But most people don't play like that, to be honest. It's only like a select few. So that's why we have it at 38. If, like I said, if this becomes an issue for you, I would turn it up to like 45 at most. But 38, just for the sake of maximizing the amount of pressure we can cause in the middle of the pitch. And then 68 depth, we want this to be a high pressing formation because you're basically going to have a huge wall in your midfield. And pushing that wall forward is going to basically allow for you to keep the ball away from your own box. And the benefit to that isn't necessarily present in defense, but more so in offense, because once you win the ball back, you're just going to make it much more easier for you to start an attack, because it's a lot more easier to start an attack from the middle of the pitch than it is from your own box. So the whole objective is to win the ball back in the middle of the pitch for you, and then build a play balance with chance creation possession. Again, in my personal opinion, the game is so much better with the possession chance creation, because you actually will have control on your team with this chance creation. And what I mean with that is the fact that when you use possession instead of direct passing, the thing with direct passing is that it's basically putting emphasis into the AI. I'll be explaining this in a future video where I explain how to make your own custom tactics, but think of direct passing as letting the AI do a lot of the work for you, which can be helpful for a lot of games, but there'll also be games where you're noticing that your AI just aren't making correct movements, which can be really frustrating to play with. So think of possession as you having control of your team. So with possession, you'll notice that whenever you're using passing goals, whenever you're using 1-2 passes, things like this, you're going to be able to dictate the quality of the AI, your attacking AI. So it'll give you just in general better control of your team. So if you've ever played with direct passing and you realize that you're just not playing good and you can't explain why, because your AI is just not making proper movements, and it's really not your fault because you're using direct passing, and direct passing is really just most of the AI doing the work for you. And the issue with that is if the AI is letting you down, then there's not much you can do to really do anything about that. And possession will finally give you control of your team in the final third especially. And then with 35, because this formation is really wide to begin with, you have a lot of options horizontally. It's really important that you have a more narrow width for this formation. That way, when you get to the final third, all of your players are going to access the box. So 35 width is important. And then 6 players in the box. Quite frankly, it's not a Nawizi formation if it doesn't have 6 players in the box. If you know my custom tactics, you know I love to overload the other team's attack with options. I know they say defense wins games, but in my opinion, the way I play this game, it's outscoring your opponent that wins games, because I suck at defense and I go 20-0 like pretty often. So if you're a player that loves scoring a lot of goals, if you like playing games that go like 5-4, 6-5, things like that, just high scoring games to begin with, then these custom tactics are perfect for you. You can also pride yourself on defense too, to be honest. It's a matter of how you actually control the players where this is important, but for the most part, this custom tactic focuses more on the attacking side and the build-up side. And then 3 corners in the box, again, this is personal preference. I love to experiment. You can do 1 if you like playing the ball short. I like to do 3 because I have players that can do headers, so it's up to you basically. And then free kicks too. I should have this at free kicks 1, to be honest. Free kicks suck when it comes to passing anyways, so free kicks 1. Before I go ahead and show you guys the player instructions, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe today because I've been creating some of the most meta tactics as well as authentic tactics for FC24. So if you like playing different formations that aren't the typical 4-2-3-1, 4-3-2-1, things like that, blah blah blah, I've been playing with a lot of different tactics this year, and I found, honestly, other tactics in the game that aren't the traditional meta formations to be really good. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Additionally, if you're looking for a Discord server where you can find things like FIFA discussion for tactics, daily content, squad building, any of that stuff, go ahead and join today with the link in the description. And then going straight to player instructions, of course, for striker up front right here, we're going to have him only on stay central. Normally you would want stay forward, but I honestly didn't even bother putting it on anything this time because I think by default the game just has it on stay forward to begin with. I don't see like an actual difference because as a lone striker he's going to hold that position up front anyways. So if you want to, just to be safe, you can put stay forward. It would be recommended, but I honestly don't think EA even set this thing up properly, to be honest. But you're going to want a really good striker that is really good in physicality, which is going to be important. If you love playing with wingers that are just really agile and quick but don't have good strength, that aren't able to resist a defender on their shoulders, then I wouldn't recommend this formation for you, to be honest, because you're going to need to play like Drogba or something like this. Because when he's alone in the box, he's going to be dragging center backs out of space, and that's where the wingers and the center mids are going to get involved for a lot of shooting opportunities for themselves. So you're going to need a striker that is just really strong off the ball as well, and is also really quick. So I found Drogba to be perfect for the squad, and he's also really good for crosses, which is going to be a huge, gameplay detail in this formation. If you're a player that loves playing crosses, then you're going to have a lot of fun with this formation. But yeah, stay central, and then your right winger right here is going to be on basic defensive support, cut inside, and get into the box for cross. We do not have it on getting behind because we do not need him to be on getting behind. We want him to be a passing option consistently. And the issue of getting behind is the fact that it operates just like how people play with direct passing. It's going to remove a passing option in favor of forcing runs when it's not completely necessary. And we need players to constantly be open in this formation because when we constantly spam those passes, after each individual pass, there's AI instructed to make certain runs after the pass. So think of it this way. Think of you passing around, and when you're passing around, the other player has to control a player and then try to intercept the ball, whatnot. And when all of this is happening, they're dragging players out of position. Once the player you have passed and gone with, to better say, these wingers right here will begin to abuse space that you have won yourself. That's also where getting to the box for cross comes into play, because whenever it's relevant, they're going to cut inside, they're going to get in between the fullback and the center back, and if you have players with finesse shot plus, or even finesse shot, the regular one, you're going to be getting yourself a lot of goals with these wingers. And the same thing is going to be on your left winger right here as well. You're going to have them cut inside, get into the box for cross. Now, if you really want to, you can put them on comeback for defense. However, it's worth noting that they're already going to be really aggressive on defense and they're going to track back enough, so that's why I don't do so already. But if defending is really important for you and you want to compromise your attack a little bit, you can just put them both on comeback on defense. But like I said, if you know me, I hate defending in FIFA, so I just love being ready for the counterattack at all points. So they're still going to track back, but they're going to hold a much more aggressively deeper position in defense when you have them on when you have them on comeback on defense. So it's your preference, to be honest. And then your right center mid is going to be on get forward, cover center. This player right here is going to be like a number 10 basically. They're going to be working a lot with your striker, so you're going to need a player that is really good in terms of dribbling and shooting, and then pace won't be as important. So that's why I found Zico to be perfect for this, because since he's 5-star, I'm able to do a lot with him, and he's also just really good in dribbling to begin with, so I usually don't have issues with him. But you're going to want someone with a number 10 type of player profile right here. And you're also going to need someone you can trust to score a lot of goals with this player right here, because they're going to get a lot of shooting opportunities off the back of your striker. And then your other center mid right here is going to be on bounce, attack, cover center. Guys, if you have that Loftus-Cheek card, he is so good. I don't know how he's so good, but he's just so good. It feels like he has like 120 pace, because for some reason he's so fast. It's probably because he's really tall, but he's really good. He's perfect as a box to box, which is important for this position right here, because on bounce attack, he's going to attack whenever it's relevant instead of forcing the option, which is what makes it different to the other center mid, as we saw. So you're going to want a player that has basically really well-rounded stats, plus 90 in almost anything if possible, and that's what Loftus-Cheek has, more or less. If you have that new Modric or maybe you have that Bruno, whoever you have that has really good stats across the board, it's gonna be perfect for this position right here. And then your CDM right here, cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, cover center. Really, all this guy needs to do is just stay back and help the center backs, because we'll go over the fullbacks in a moment, but with stay back while attacking, he's going to hold a position in between the center backs. So that's going to allow the center backs to drag a little bit out wider than they normally need to when you have the ball and when you're in the final third especially. So as we'll go over in a moment, but you have an attacking fullback, and the issues with attacking fullbacks is you don't want to leave too much space out open. So if having a player that is a defensive midfielder, like he has a defensive midfielder AI, having him on stay back while attacking will allow him to drop in between the center backs. And then when he drops in between the center backs, those two center backs that are already there are going to start holding slightly wider positions to accommodate the fullback that's now attacking. Now, obviously, this is situational. It's only going to happen on certain occasions. And now, with that being said, you can go to the left back right here, which is our join the attack overlap. Now, even though it's on join the attack, because there's a winger right next to it, or sorry, right in front of it, he's not literally going to bomb the wings every single chance he has. For example, if you look at the 4-3-2-1, that fullback is always bombing the wings. And that's only because there's no player ahead of him. And when there's no player ahead of him, there's just too much space for them to have. And because there's too much space, they're just gonna utilize it every single time they have, every single chance they have. So even though this player's on join the attack, they're only going to make runs whenever your winger right here has actually cut inside, basically. And once they've cut inside, they're going to be dragging wingers inside, or sorry, fullbacks inside. And that's when this player is going to be fully utilized, and they're going to be able to make a run in behind. That's going to be an issue for the other player. And at this point, once that's occurred, hopefully you have a CDM that has really good passing stats. Ideally, he has a long ball pass plus, or just a regular long ball pass, or just some player in midfield to begin with that has long ball pass, because then you can find this guy and you're going to get a really good opportunity to attack straight from this position. And then your two center backs obviously are going to be stay back while attacking, and your right back right here is also going to be on stay back while attacking overlap, and then your keeper is going to be on, I forgot to set it, but balance, or sorry, no, comes across the sweeper keeper. Like I said earlier, the difference between this and a formation of direct passing, especially the traditional meta with the 4-3-2-1 and such, is that your AI is going to be as good as the passes you can make. With possession, you actually have control of your AI, meaning that the runs you make are going to be the runs you actually deserve, rather than direct passing, which just forces runs over and over again until you can just basically just force a pass in, if that makes sense. That's why direct passing is always the meta, because it's not necessarily the best, but it's just so easy to play with because you don't actually have to do that much to attack with direct passing. While with possession, it is going to be a little bit more harder in essence. However, it's going to be more beneficial in the long run, especially if you're a more skilled player, because if you can make good quality passes and make dribbles when it's appropriate, you're going to have control of the other team's defense, because that other player is trying to control the ball, or sorry, win the ball back, but you're constantly triggering passing options by passing from one player, passing to another. Runs are occurring automatically by the AI because they're receiving the ball, and once they pass the ball with possession, they're instructed to run right after into space that you've opened up. And this formation collectively is meant to force the amount of options that you actually get before and after these passes. But yeah, like I said before, if you guys were wondering what I actually prefer when it comes to formations, it's either this one or the 4-2-4 in my honest opinion. And then after that, there's obviously the meta ones like the 4-3-2-1, the 4-2-2-2, and the 4-2-3-1. But those are honestly like in one tie for me. Like I can't really tell you which one's the best out of those because they're all the meta. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with this formation, to be honest. I'll probably even drop like a longer gameplay video with this formation when it comes to the Premier League team this season, because I'm trying to grind out and get that Cole Palmer. But we'll see how that goes, to be honest. But other than that, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe if you mess with the content, and that's all.